Hi, lovely booktubers. I'm Debs. Welcome back to my channel, Raina Reads Stuff. I'm here in the book shack, and I am going to give you the non-trash version of my weekly wrap-up. So it's GarbAugust this month, created by Criminally, a fabulous event, and I am very honoured to be one of the co-hosts. But I've been reading other stuff as well, so I've for the last couple of weeks I've done a GarbAugust wrap up and then anything else that I've read. That's what this is. It's Monday, and let's jump straight into it. So, regulars to the channel will know that I have been listening to the audiobook of all the Inspector Grant novels by Josephine Tay. This week's one was called To Love and Be Wise. Unlike the last one, the one for the week before, this one did actually feature Inspector Grant quite heavily. But again, it's not your classic detective story. Tay does this very well. She sets out she lulls you into this sense that you are going to be reading a classic police procedural, and then she does something different with it. So this one starts with Grant going to a party to meet an actress that he knows. She's his friend. And on the way into this party, he comes across a young man who is an American and is there to meet someone specific that he's never actually met before. So Grant takes him into the party and shows him to the person he's looking for. Then Grant disappears for a while, and this character, Searle, who is a photographer, an American photographer, manages to wangle his way down to stay in the country home of this actress. His son is a radio presenter, and he wants to meet the radio presenter because they have a mutual friend in common. Initially, he ingratiates himself into the household really well, and everyone's happy. The secretary of the sorry, she wasn't an actress; she was a writer. So the secretary of the writer is there. She is engaged to the radio presenter. They're engaged to be married. Um, there's a couple of staff there. The writer's sister, who is the stepmother of the secretary, it all gets very complicated, is there as well. And they're all mulling along quite nicely. And then Searle starts to... Well, people think he's having an affair with the secretary. He's not. He's looking for something to do, and the radio presenter is looking for something to do too. So they agree that they are going to canoe along the length of a river, and the radio presenter is going to write, and Searle is going to take photographs to put together in a book. And they start off on their journey. And then Searle disappears. And he's just gone. Completely gone. And Grant is called in. The radio presenter is suspected of his murder. But there isn't even a body. He's just disappeared. And Grant is called in to solve the case. I also like this one. I haven't not liked a Josephine Tay book that I've read. The next one up is the only one that I had previously read of the Inspector Grant novels, and that's The Daughter of Time, where Grant is prostrate in bed because he's fallen through a ceiling and broken his leg, and he is trying to solve a cold case, a really cold case. It's the murder of the princes in the tower. I'm not sure I'm going to do that one again yet. I've read it reasonably recently, so I might skip on to the next one. Who knows? Next up, Alan Bennett, playwright Alan Bennett. This is The Lady in the Van. I haven't seen the film. It's also a play, but it's actually a true story. So, The Lady in the Van is Miss Shepherd, and she is, well, eccentric doesn't quite cover it. And one day, in real life, she moves her van to opposite Alan Bennett's house in, was it Camden? Somewhere in London. She gets various moving on notices, and eventually Alan Bennett agrees that she can park her van on his driveway, which she does. And this is in 1974. Miss Shepherd is homeless. She lives in her van. She stinks to high heaven. She has very quirky ways. But she stays in her van on his drive for 15 years until she dies. Social services are involved and they bring her clothes and things like that. Alan Bennett does her shopping. In this, it says that she once scared the living daylights out of Vincent Price and his wife, who were walking out of Alan Bennett's home quite late one evening when she bangs on the side of the van and bellows that some people are trying to sleep around here. The book is great. It reads like almost excerpts from Bennett's diary. And he and Miss Shepherd have a very complicated relationship. They sort of don't like each other very much, but then they do like each other a bit. But it's a really well written, fun read, and I enjoyed it very much. I've read some really weird books this week. This is The Conversations of Calit. It's by Sunita Namjoshi, who was born in India and moved to Canada, where she was a long-term English professor at the University of Toronto. Excuse me. This is a publication by the Women's Press. I bought it because I absolutely loved the cover and the title intrigued me. So in this, Sunita, who is a professor at a university, is in conversation with Bhadravati, and they disagree about most things. And this says, it's hardly surprising, as Sunita is an average middle-of-the-road lesbian separatist, and Bhadravati is a Brahmin lesbian cow, goddess of 1,000 faces and 1,000 manifestations. So Bhadravati, who is also called Baddie, Bad, or just B in this novel, arrives in Sunita's life. They have conversations which are sort of philosophical, and they sort of become friends. And Bhadravati transforms herself into a woman. She's quite hard on Suniti. She points out all her flaws and tries to make her be a better person. It's very satirical and quite witty, but it is strange. And it's about, I suppose, the way people relate to each other, what they see in other people and what people see in themselves. It was interesting and I did enjoy it very much. Now, finally, I've been taking part in the Faulkner in August event, and this event this year we've been reading As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. I've not taken part before, and I had only ever read short story, one, I think, short story by William Faulkner before reading As I Lay Dying. For those of you who don't know, As I Lay Dying is about Addie, who is dying, and in the first part of the book, she proceeds to die whilst her eldest son, Cash, is building her coffin outside her bedroom window where she can see it. Addie has made her husband, Ants, promise to take her body home, which is a town some miles away, to bury her. Addie and Ants, the their family consists of 4 sons and a daughter. And this novel is narrated by different members of the cast in 59 different chapters. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the way Faulkner changed his language and his style depending on which character was talking. This is a tragicomedy. The comedy comes in grotesque forms. Addie's body is subjected to a number of indignities as they take her on this journey. And the journey takes much longer than it should because the bridges are down. There's been huge storms and the bridges are down. Some of the indignities are that they drop her in a river at one point. It takes an inordinate amount of time to get to where they're going. By which time Addie is beginning to pong a bit. And the tragedy comes in the characters of the 5 children. They're all damaged. There are outside narrators as well, outside the family, friends, if you can call them such, and the doctor and a pastor, and people they have known during their lives. Apparently, I am reliably informed that this is the best introduction to William Faulkner's novels. It's a little stream of consciousness. I think having read Ulysses last month and the month before, you can cope with stream of consciousness on this level. I thought the book was brilliant. I thought the characters were beautifully drawn. I thought the balance between the dark comedy and the absolute tragedy was brilliant. It was just so brilliantly done. And I can't wait to read some more William Faulkner. I'm not going to tell you any more about the story because other people are still reading it. But I had a nice chat with Pat from Book Chat with Pat the other day about it. And yeah, it's a very thought-provoking book, I think. I'm really glad I read it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's my non-GarbAugust wrap-up for last week. I am also midway through The Fatal Shore, which is about the penal colony, that's the word, in Australia that I'm reading with John David. I'm a bit behind it. I need to catch up. I'm so sorry, John. Um, and I still haven't finished Orlando Fige's Story of Russia, which I want to do very quickly because I've got another book in mind of his that I want to read. So that's my non-GarbAugust wrap up for this week. Thank you very much for popping by. It's always lovely to see you, and I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you can. That would be great. And leave me a comment. Have you read any of these books, particularly this one? I'd like to know what anyone thought of this one. I've got a few more things coming up this week. I'm not going down to look after my grandson this week, so I find myself with some more time. And I might have to catch up with some tag videos. Anyway, lovely to see you. Thanks for popping by. Bye for now.